In this video of the Historic Ordnance series, we're going to look at the German DM-21 metallic anti-tank mine. Now, according to demining sources, this mine is only in the inventory of Germany and has not been discovered anywhere else around the world. They have not been sent to Ukraine. I found out about this mine by looking at what are the mines that the Canadian military has in their inventory that their soldiers need to know how to use, to see which ones I have not done a video on yet. And this mine is listed as being in the inventory of the Canadian Army. And there's actually articles out there where I got this picture from of them doing training with live mines less than 10 years ago. So this is a still servicing mine, at least in the Canadian Army. It kind of looks like it may have been withdrawn from frontline service in the German Army and replaced with the DM-21, but at least with the Canadians, it's still a frontline service mine that they would employ during operations. And because Canada's in North America, this is probably something that we should be aware of. Now, some of the technicals on this. The mine is 12 inches in diameter. It is 4 inches in height. Weight is 20.5 pounds, and it looks like the explosive content is 11 pounds, and the explosive is a TNT-based explosive. Now, the fuse for this is the DM-21, and when it is inside this mine, the mine takes between 397 pounds to around 772 pounds to be set off. The body is made out of aluminum, OD green, and it has an attached canvas handle. Now, this one here looks like it's probably a painted over trainer. This is a live mine, according to the caption that was in the Canadian Army press release. There is one fuse well for an anti-handling device located on the underside of the mine, and it's right down here in the drawings. This mine can be hand emplaced or laid out with a mine layer. It is meant to be surface laid or buried. There is a note in the Canadian manual that these mines can be emplaced in water to a maximum of 1 meter in depth, but when that is done, the fuse has to be protected against moisture. So I'm guessing it'll be one of those situations where you're going to have to coat the threads with, around the fuse plug, you're going to have to coat the threads with a silicone-based grease and potentially coat the arming plug itself with that same grease before you submerge it in water and anchor it in place. When it is put in water, reportedly it has a 3-month life before water will start to impregnate into there, and it could potentially cause problems with the fuse and the arming plug. These mines are packaged 4 mines to a crate with 4 fuses. No arming wrenches are required. Now, I did print out the instructions straight from a Canadian manual on how to inspect these mines, how to put them into operation, how to remove them from operation, and to reset the fuses on these, and I will read through the instructions on that. First off, you're going to have to go through and inspect the mine. Make sure the arming plug is indicating S, this position right here. Inspect the body of the mine for signs of damage such as dents, cracks, or corrosion. Check the fuse cavities, the fuse wells, for dirt or foreign debris or for signs of corrosion. Also inspect the fuse for dirt, corrosion, or other damage. Dirt and foreign objects are removed, but mines and fuses showing signs of damage shall be put aside for eventual destruction. So you go through, you inspect it, everything passes inspection. You then pack it back up, transport it to where the mine's going to be placed, where you're going to surface lay it or bury it in the ground. If you're going to bury it in the ground, it looks like the ground level should be a little bit below the top of the mine, is what it appears. There is no depth marked in here in this particular manual. So we've gone through, if we're going to put it in the hole, we dug the hole, we placed the mine itself in the hole, and then we're going to go through and do the arming procedures. Unscrew the arming plug and ensure the arming switch is set to the S position. Unscrew the fuse container and set aside the lower part. If you see here in the picture, this is the fuse with it still inside the container with the cap on top. Remove the bottom by unscrewing it from the bottom of the fuse. Set that container to the side. Ensure that the fuse is not armed. And you do this by ensuring that the red arming indicators on the bottom of the upper part of the fuse are not aligned, and the safety pin on the side of the fuse is not protruding. The safety pin is located right here in the drawings. If either condition is encountered, the fuse is armed and must be set aside for disarming or disposal. If the fuse is safe, place the fuse with the upper part of the fuse container on the fuse inside the cavity with the guide notch of the fuse container pointing to a white dot on the pressure plate of the mine. This is the guide notch right here, this little cutout. And you can clearly see the white dot on the top of the mine in the picture here. So you want those lining up, pointing towards each other. Once you got it lined up, push fuse into the mine until it snaps home audibly. Pull off the upper part of the fuse container and screw in the arming plug. So this little cap on top, apparently pull it up and off. You will then screw the arming plug back into the fuse well. Then press down on the safety and arming mechanism. The safety and arming mechanism is this little thing on the side of the fuse here. The semicircular bar. Press down on that while simultaneously turning the arming switch from S to the F position. The 5-minute arming delay device will start ticking audibly. After 5 minutes, the mine is armed. Retain the upper and lower parts of the fuse container. Camouflage the mine. It's ready to go. At the end of the 5 minutes, the pressure fuse is active. Now, removal of the mine from in service. It's out in the field, you got to recover it. First thing you're going to do, you're going to check around it for any protective mines or booby traps that may have been put in. Take care of those as you come across them. After the area is clear, you're going to locate the mine. This should be fairly simple because of the metal in the fuse here and on the arming plate. The body itself is made out of aluminum, will not react to most mine detectors, but the metal in the fuse plug and in the fuse will. So you locate the mine, you're then going to uncover it carefully. You are then going to check the mine for anti-handling devices. Check the sides, check underneath. If any are located, destroy the mine in place. If none have been located, you will continue on with disarming. Now, steps for disarming. Carefully inspect the mine. If marks on the ground indicate the mine has been run over by a vehicle, the mine shall be considered a dud and will be destroyed where it's situated. Unscrew the arming plug. Place the upper part of the fuse container on the fuse and line up the guide notch with the white dot. So put this piece back on the fuse, snap it back into place, make sure the notch is facing the direction of the white dot on top of the fuse. So you may have to clean off around the top of the fuse a little bit. Push the upper part of the fuse container onto the fuse until it snaps in place. Turn the upper part of the fuse container, the piece you just put on there, 90 degrees, clockwise or counterclockwise, and then pull out the upper part and the fuse. So snap it on there, turn it 90 degrees, lift the fuse up and out. Then it says to, at this time, reset the timer. Now, instructions for resetting the timer, and the timer is on the fuse itself. When resetting the timer and clockwork mechanism, reset the arming lever from F armed to S safe on the fuse plug. The following procedure can be used if the fuse is found armed upon receipt or if the mine is disarmed for use in the future. Locate the clockwork winding key on the bottom of the lower part of the fuse container. So basically the underside of the container here, you're going to have some notches. That's going to be the arming key. They will line up with a couple studs on the very bottom of the fuse. Insert the clockwork winding key into the slot on the base of the fuse. Rotate it fully to clockwise. So had the fuse container, put it on there, turn it till it stops, rotating it clockwise to reset the clockwork inside the fuse. Inspect to ensure that the safety pin, this thing here, has retracted into the recess and the red arming indicators on the fuse base are no longer aligned. If either condition is not met, the fuse must not be used and must be destroyed. If the safety pin has retracted into the recess and the red arming indicators on the fuse base are no longer aligned, the fuse is safe and can be reused. So we've reset the fuse now. At this point, you're going to screw back on the lower part of the fuse container. After that is done, if you have not done this so already, you're going to switch the arming plug from the F position from fire over to the S position. Turn the arming switch to S. This is done by moving the switch as close to safe as possible before turning the arming plug over and using the lower part of the fuse container to depress the spring mechanism and simultaneously turning the arming lever to the S position. So apparently in the underside of the fuse here, we're going to have some little notches. We're going to line this up in there, press it in, and then putting pressure on it, you're going to finish turning that fuse all the way to the S position, locking it into the safe point. Then screw the arming plug into the mine. Turn in the mine and the fuse to the mine dump for later reuse or for destruction. So there's the information on this mine. Because it is in Canada, this is one that engineers in the United States, either militia or U.S. military, should probably know something about, because if anything ever happens in North America, it's a sure bet that someone is going to break into a Canadian base somewhere, one of their depots, and is going to steal some crates of mines, and these potentially would end up in that conflict. So there you go. The instructions straight from the Canadian manual on how to arm these, and the information that I can find on the German DM-21 metallic anti-tank mine. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot militia movements, always remember essayons.